Welcome back to this week's Sabbath School lesson. You may remember last week we were talking about Jesus. And in the story we had last week, there were some people who came to be with Jesus. And I'm wondering if anybody remembers what these people were called. There's a special Bible word, one of those words we only really hear in the Bible that we use for them. They're called disciples. And last week we heard that Jesus got one disciple whose name we don't know, and with him came Andrew. And then Andrew went and got his brother Simon, whom Jesus changed the name of. He changed his name to Peter. And then there was Philip, who went and got his friend Nathaniel. So count with me how many disciples we know about so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these disciples were sort of like students to a teacher. You may remember that they called Jesus Rabbi, another Bible word, which means teacher. And they went around with him and they lived with him so they could learn from him the whole time. Well, in today's story, it happened that Jesus and his disciples and his mother, let's make a little room here. I'm going to spread the disciples out a bit. This will be Jesus' mother. Does anybody remember from the story of Jesus being born what her name is? Her name was Mary. So Jesus and his disciples and his mother were all invited to a wedding. And some of you may have been to a wedding. At a wedding, we have two important people. We have a groom. I was going to give my groom a black suit, but I've been told that in those days grooms would wear bright colors because they would wear fancy clothes. So this groom has a purple suit, which is a special color, and this will be his bride. I still have her with a white veil and a white dress, so we'll know she's the bride. They were invited to a wedding of some friends of theirs. So if you've been to a wedding, maybe you can tell me some things about it. I'm going to spread these people out a little bit. Put Jesus over here. We'll make some room so that we can see all the things at the wedding. Now, they probably had the wedding ceremony, and then they would have a big party, like a feast. So I'm going to give them a table, and maybe we're going to give them a couple more friends, because they would have lots of people come to their wedding. And I'm going to give this friend a harp, so they can have some music at their wedding. And maybe this friend can bring a present. And we might have some decorations. I'm going to put a flower on the table. And they would probably have some special food and some special drinks. So that could be an apple. And then I have a cup. And I have some honey. And I have some jars. These jars might be full of wine, maybe. Back then, people didn't drink a lot of water because the water often wasn't very clean. But they might drink wine. Even the kids might drink some wine that wasn't too strong. Wine is made from grapes, all crushed up like we have at communion, a little bit like grape juice. So these people are almost all ready for a party. How about we give them some special clothes too? I'm going to give some of the disciples some special clothes. They're going to maybe put on their best green suits for the day. So let's have all the friends dress up. There's one more friend over here you can barely see, I guess. We're going to give him a red suit. So all our disciples are all dressed up, and they're ready to go to the party after the wedding. And maybe these people invited too many friends, or maybe their party went on too long because everybody was having a lot of fun, or maybe they just didn't plan well, but we know that they began to run out of wine. And so they were worried they wouldn't have enough for their guests. And somehow Mary heard this, and so she went. Let's make a little room for her. She went to her son Jesus, and she said, "They have no wine." And he said, "Woman, what does that have to do with me? My hour has not yet come." But Mary called some servants. Let's get some servants over here. Sorry, my camera's not doing well. I'm going to have a big servant and a little servant. Let's make some room for them. She called over a couple of servants and she said, "Do whatever he tells you." Now it happened that there were 6 stone water jars sitting there. I'm going to have you count with me as we put some water jars around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to have our harpist move away so we have room. 6 stone water jars. And maybe this guy will take his present away too. And Jesus told the servants to fill them up with water. Now remember, I told you that people didn't drink water. These jars wouldn't be used for water people drank. They would be used for water that they used to wash with, because they didn't have regular sinks, so they would use these jars for washing. He told the servants to pour water in them till the jars were all full. So my servant's going to come. He has something to pour water out of, and I have a nice blue water drop. So he pours it in. Let's count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 big stone jars, all full of water. Now, what did he pour in these jars? They poured in water, right? But then he said to them, now draw some out and take it to the master of the feast. This would be the guy who's sort of like the party planner, in charge of planning the party. I'm going to put him up here by the bride, because he might be hanging out there. And maybe this servant can come. He takes a cup and he dips it in and he pulls it out of those jars. Now, they put in water, but when he pulls it out, it's full of wine. I have some purple wine there. And he takes it up to the master of the feast, and he gives it to him to drink. And the master of the feast says to the groom, everyone serves the good wine first, and when people have had too much to drink, then serves the poor wine. But you have kept the good wine until now. So not only did Jesus take this water and change it into wine, the wine that Jesus made by this miracle was better than all the other wine that had been at the feast. And this is often called the first miracle of Jesus. He takes the water and he changes it into wine. And not only is the wine decent wine, it's very good wine. And his friends are able to continue their party because now they have 6 big jugs full of wine. So that is today's story. It's not too long. If you look in the show notes, there will be a link to the crafts we have. We have a couple of fun crafts this time about changing water into wine. And if you do pay attention to these broadcasts, it's possible that we will have a break next week. We might do a review week. I haven't quite decided on that. So if you don't see a video for a week or two, you will know why. But we're going to come back and we're going to continue with Jesus's ministry, maybe next week or maybe in 2 or 3 weeks. So we will see you then. Goodbye.